Hello, my name is Emmeline Tyler. I'm an avid reader and I am currently on a trip from Melbourne to Uluru in a 60 Series Land Cruiser. So when we were preparing for this trip, as an avid reader, the thing I was most nervous about was how I was going to possibly pack enough books to read so that I wouldn't run out of reading material. And so I came up with a schema, of course, and I've represented it here on this piece of paper. So what I realised was that I needed to pack books that were hard to read and short. So like physically small, so they didn't take up a lot of space or a lot of weight. So you see in this quadrant here, we've got the books that fit in that category. I didn't take all of these, but some of these are Hospital, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. What does that one say? Capitalist Realism and Health Communism. Just a sec, I've got to turn off the water here. Over here, these are books that are easy to read and big and heavy. So we've got books by Marion Keyes, Liane Moriarty and Mhairi McFarlane. In this quadrant is books that are hard to read and big and heavy. Origin of Totalitarianism and Praiseworthy by Alexis Wright. So these are all examples of books that I actually own. I couldn't find any books in this category, which is easy reading and small. So if you can think of any, so like small is like word count of 200 words or fewer. If you can think of any, let me know in the comments. So now, this is my little, it's actually called a toiletries bag, not SponCon, but we did get it for free in one of our many trips to King's. So it's a toiletries bag and I'm keeping my books in it as well as my medication. And so these books come in standard sizes. So I'm only taking books that are this size. So like normally new releases come in bigger sizes, like they're called trade copies, I think. So this is Pedagogy of the Oppressed. It's a classic. Really looking forward to reading it. Health Communism. I just keep rereading, starting it again, reading the first paragraph and then going, wow, I need to think about that for a while. So it's hard to get through, but I have read the introduction now. Oh, there goes a bookmark. I've finished this one. It's called The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. It's a classic literary fiction. Very interesting. I feel like I need to have a once-off book club just to talk about this book because I just don't know how to feel about it. It's so interesting. This book I didn't pack. I bought in a library sale at the Renmark Public Library. I've read it before. It's a bit of a queer classic. And this is my current read. So I'm using this little bag to protect the book that I'm currently reading. So I have it in my day bag and I keep it under my pillow at night. So this is the book I'm currently reading, Wide Sargasso Sea by Rhys. If you haven't heard of it, it's also a classic, published in, not sure, but it's a decolonisation, published in 1966. See, I was going to guess 65. And it's a decolonised version of Jane Eyre from the perspective of the Rochester's first wife. I've also been reading a couple of ebooks, even though that's not my favourite format. So I finished Game Changers because I hadn't finished reading the physical version before we came away. And I started Heated Rivalry and I read a Mhairi McFarlane book, all on ebook, and a Mhairi McFarlane short story. That's all. Thanks for watching. Hello. Bye. It's been just over a month since we got back from our trip and I wanted to give a little update on what I ended up reading for the rest of the trip, because that last video, that last clip was filmed almost halfway through the trip. So I mentioned that I had been reading a few books on ebook. I finished Heated Rivalry and I also read Role Model, rereading Role Model and Tough Guy from that same series. I finished Wide Sargasso Sea. I did not read Health Communism or Pedagogy of the Oppressed at all, I think I tried once. What I realized was that non-fiction on holidays is really not a vibe. I was trying to trick myself into reading these books that I really want to read but I've been putting off because they're quite hard going, by being like, well, if I'm trapped on holidays and there's nothing else to read, then surely I'll just read them. But it just doesn't work like that. I just defaulted to ebooks. And the other thing that I did, which was really cool, well, cool for a library nerd like me, is when we were going through Port Pirie on the way home, I signed up for a membership with South Australia Libraries through Port Pirie, and I found What Alice Forgot by Liane Moriarty on their shelves, and I borrowed it, and I've been wanting to reread this for ages. I've read it several times, but I think it's my favourite one of hers. It's about this woman who hits her head at the gym and forgets 10 years of her life. The last thing she remembers is being pregnant with her first child and madly in love with her husband, and they're renovating their house, and now she is going through a divorce and she's a mother of 3 and the house is beautiful, which is basically the only positive. I mean, apart from the children, but it's just kind of weird that she's like instant separated mother of 3. But it's a really great book. I love it. It's just really about the complexities of life and the things that can pull us apart. So I borrowed it at Port Pirie Library, and then 4 days later when we were going through Bordertown, it was our last day, and it was also our last day in South Australia. And so I returned it to Bordertown Library because they're all in the South Australia Library Network, which is really cool. But yeah, when I was editing the last clip, one of the people on the trip with me, one of my family members, said, well, what I would do, I would just bring a book that I really liked and just read it over and over again. And I was like, that's not a bad idea. I mean, for a trip for 4 weeks, I probably wouldn't bring just one book and reread it because I read on average 1 book a week. But if it was like The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue and Good Material by Dolly Alderton. Good Material I've read about 4 times, I think, maybe 5. And The Rachel Incident I've read 3 or 4 times. And the first time I read it, I immediately started again in a different format. So I either read it on audio and then read it in physical book, or the other way around, I can't remember. So I think that's what I'll do next time I go on a massive road trip anyway. So thank you so much for watching, and please comment below to let me know what you do when to manage your reading habits when you go on holidays. See ya!